بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everybody. Day number 12. It's not day number 12, it's ayah number 12 today, inshallah. We've now completed 3/5 of the surah. So we're past halfway, alhamdulillah, bifadlillah. So, inshallah, we have the intention to see this surah to the end, inshallah. It's always good. I know there's a lot going on in terms of, what's available to us. And sometimes there's so much available, you want to, and it's all very tempting and we want to do a bit of everything. But remember, it's quality and it's not about the quantity. So if you're going to pick something, concentrate on it, focus on it and do it well. So in that spirit, inshallah, we have the intention that we've started and we've committed to improving our recitation and our understanding of this surah. And the intention is now to see this surah till the end. There are only 18 ayahs. We're on ayah number 12 now. So may Allah make it easy for us. May Allah give us the ability to be able to see it to completion, inshallah. Okay, Ameen. Let me bring up now the next ayah we'll be splitting again into 2 days. It is a little bit long to do all together. So let me just bring up, here we go. Right. Okay, let's start off with the isti'adha and the basmallah. Sister Salma, if you'd like to join me for this one, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Now, I wasn't looking at you, but it seemed as though for the sheen, it sounded as though you used your lips. So we'll do it one. It sounds like I said minash, right? So your lips came out a little bit. Let's try that again. أعوذ, just be careful. It wasn't full. There was a slight kind of prolongation of the hamza at the beginning, so keeping it one count. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but you said minash.
Yeah, it came out.
Yeah, so it's okay. It's just out of habit. So it's just constantly just reminding yourself. So you can do it, I know, without. So let's do the last part again. Minash shaytanir rajim.
من الشيطان الرجيم.
Alhamdulillah. And the basmala. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
It's your Ar-Rahim is better in terms of the Ra and the Ha. It could do with a little bit more polishing up. So you're getting there.
Yes.
So just keep on going with your practice, inshallah. Well done, alhamdulillah. Okay. So this first part we have done many times. So I'm not gonna go into this today. I'm just gonna say it. And Sister Humaira, if you could say it after me. يا أيها الذين آمنوا.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا. Sorry.
That's okay. Your is less strangled. It sounds a little bit as though you're heading in the right direction for it. We just want to keep on practicing that, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Okay, so moving on to our new word for today, ijtanibu. Okay, now this word, if we are reciting it on its own, we'll say ijtanibu. For those of you that know, this is a verb. Whenever we have a verb and it starts with hamzatul wasl, then we look towards the third letter. And the third letter in this case, so one is hamzatul wasl, second is the jim, third is the ta. The ta has a fatha. If the third letter has a fatha or a kasra, you will then put a kasra on the hamzatul wasl. If you are starting with it, you will say ijtanibu. If we are continuing reading, and for most of us, and now I know for those that was not for the beginner. So those of you that are new to this, don't worry if that didn't make sense. But what I do want you to know, even if you're a beginner, is when we are reading in continuation, we move from the noon straight to the jim. Okay, so the wow, also this mad wow in continuation, when we continue on to the next word, is not read. Okay, so we say amanu jtanibu, amanu jtanibu. The jim here is a qalqala letter. Okay, so it's a bouncy one. qalqala. So remember what we mentioned, we talked about the qalqala yesterday in a little bit of detail, and we talked about how the qalqala is done, how it's an immediate bounce of the makhraj. Okay, we say amanud, amanud. You do not say amanud, or you don't put more energy into the qalqala afterwards. It's just a continuation of however much energy you're coming in with. Just continue with that same energy and make the qalqala immediate. It's something which sounds a little bit natural. It's not like you're putting extra effort into it. Okay. And then after saying the qalqala, we do not stop. So there's no pause. We just go straight on to the next letter. Remember, we talked about this in English. So, for example, if I was the word English, for example, in English, I do not say English, English. You see, if you have a pause in the middle, it sounds very strange. And that's the same with the Arabic as well. You don't want a pause in the middle of words because it doesn't sound as it should sound. Okay, it just sounds a bit strange. So we say the qalqala, then we move on to the ta. We have the ni. Remember, we don't want to say ne. Very easy to say ijtani, ijtani. Make sure you say the e. And then the bu is nice and light, and it's stretched for 2 counts because of the mad waw. Okay. So let's try this, Sister Salma, up until here. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu jtanibu.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا.
And then we have the next word, kathira. Now the kaf, we've talked about the makhraj of the kaf. Remember, this is the one that isn't too back. Be careful, this is very easy to say qa. One, to make it heavy and say qa, you don't want to be saying qa. Or the other common mistake is to go too back and say qa, qa, qa. So you're going towards the qaf, right? So you want to say ka, 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 nice and light, ka, ka, kathira. The kaf is only 1 count. The tha is in 2 counts. Kafi, then this ra is heavy. Kathira. Okay. So this one we want to get that r ending. Okay, not kathira, for example. It should be kathira. And then we see a rule that we saw. Was it the lesson before last? I think we saw it so many times. So I'm hoping some of you can remember at least some. It's a long. It has like 3 parts to the name. Even if you can remember the first part or the first and the second part, it'll be good. So if you can say it before I even say it, let's see if you can have a go, inshallah. We have here a tanween, a double. After the double, we have a meme with a kasra. So this was called, if anybody remembers, this was your example of idgham. And we have seen this example with the letter meme as well. So this is idgham kamil. For those of you that know, of course, the other way that you can identify what kind of idgham is it kamil or naqis, is looking towards the letter after the nun sakin or the tanween. If it has a shadda, that shadda is your clue. That shadda is your giveaway that here we have idgham kamil, because the idgham naqis does not have a shadda on the next letter. Okay, so this is idgham kamil, and it is bi ghunna. It's with ghunna. Okay, remember we said idgham has the longest ghunna, it's akmal ghunna. So we have to, the joining part where we say kathiram, that part we're going to hold and we're going to keep it going. Okay, for the longest time. And then we are going to move on to the kasra on the meme. Okay, so heavy ra, then move on to the meme. Okay, join with the meme. Let's try this, Sister Humaira. اجتنبوا كثيرا من.
اجتنبوا كثيرا من.
Good, mashallah, barakallah fiki. Then we have the noon joining with the dha. Okay, the dha, again, we talked about the makhraj of the dha yesterday. I remember we were mentioning how it's the same. Now dha, actually, I don't think I mentioned the other letters that share the same makhraj. So letter dha comes from the same makhraj as the letter dhal, which is the same makhraj as the letter tha. All 3 of these come from the same part of the tongue, touching the same part of the teeth. It's the upper teeth, the lower inside, the lower edge of the, or the bottom edge of the lower incisors. Okay, so the dha we said was the very tip of the tongue touching the bottom edge of the incisors. Okay, so I hope that's rung a bell for you, inshallah. when we join the noon with the dha. Now, one, we know that the dha is a heavy letter, okay? So we're switching from a light noon to a heavy dha. I'm making a point of mentioning this because it's very easy to make this noon heavy. It's very common. I've seen many, many sisters, and it's something I used to do myself many years ago, is to say minal, 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 right? You don't want to say mina, you want to say mina. It's noon, fathana. You want to keep it nice and light. Keep that noon intact. It's all coming back to that same point of giving each letter its due rights and its due attention. Okay, so it's noon fathana. We don't want to deviate from that sound. That is the sound that it makes. Mina. Keep the mina. But after completing and finishing the na, we join with a dha, which is heavy, and this dha is rahawa. It's the letter that we prolong the joining. We keep it running. Okay, so how would you say this? You would say minal, minal. You'd hold that dha bit. Minal one, and then the reason I've paused on the noon also is because one, I've stopped here. When we stop on a noon mushaddad or a mim mushaddad, again, akmal gunna, right? So you keep that joining one and you hold that again for the same amount of time that we held this idgham. Okay. So let's try this this last part, Sister Salma. اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن.
اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن.
We can keep the var running a little bit more.
Yeah.
Minal, one.
من الظن.
جزاكم الله خيرا. If I can ask you just to say it one more time, Sister Salma, I just want to check something. Minal one.
من الظن.
Okay, so when you say the va with the fatha, I'm hearing like, I hope this I hope I'm going to be clear in how I pronounce, how I say this. I'm going to try and copy you. You kind of say one. Can you hear that, like a one type of one type of sound in there, right? That's happening because when you join initially with the va, when you say minal, your lips are coming a bit together. So you're kind of going like this. So for all of you that can see me at home, this is going to be the incorrect way. So you don't want to do this. Minal, where the lips kind of come together. Because when they come together like that, then when you come back for the va, you say minal, you get that kind of sound because your lips have to come back. Okay. So to stop you from, or to prevent yourself from doing that, you have to make sure that as soon as you join with the law, your lips do not come together. It's minallah, 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 and not minallah, right? Minallah, because remember the law does not use the lips. It doesn't have a dhamma also, so we don't need to circle the lips. It's a letter produced, we've already discussed the makhraj about the tongue and where the tongue is going. So you're focusing on the inside. You're focusing on the tip of the tongue and which part of the teeth it's touching. That's where your focus is. Your focus is on how to make it heavy. What am I doing with the back, right? It's not about what's happening with the lips. The lips are kind of left alone, okay? Left in kind of like a relaxed position. Let's try that one more time, Sister Salma. Minal one.
من الظن.
It's better, alhamdulillah. It can be tweaked just a little bit more. We'll do it one more time, right? Minallah.
من الظن.
MashaAllah, much better. Well done. Barakallahu fiki. Then we have the word inna, and again, noon mushaddad, akmal gunna. We say inna, inna. We hold the in, but we do not prolong the na. Inna. Na is only one count at the end. We have ba'da. Ba'da. Now we have the ba joint with the ain. The ain is a tawassut letter. It's the one which is not too long, not too short. And so we hold the ain, but not for too long. Ba'da, ba'da, ba'da. Not like the va, for example. When we said minal, we kept that going for quite a bit, right? Here it's not as long as that. It's just inna ba'da, inna ba'da, ba'da, ba'da. Okay, the dad, remember, we have already talked about the dad and the makhraj. I explained it in detail. I think it was, if you haven't been watching them all, if I can remember which one it was on the day that we did ayah number 8. So if you need to go back and have a look at that, please feel free to do so. Ayah number 8 was the one where I explained the makhraj of the dad in detail. Okay, so remember we talked about the whole of the tongue being up and using the side from the back, and the side at the back is what is pressing against the inner plates of the teeth, the upper molars. Okay, so we say ba, ba, not ba, da, 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 da. That sound is the tip of the tongue being pressed, right? You don't want to be pressing with the tip, you want to press with the back. Ba, 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 ba. Inna ba, ba. If you could try that, Sister Humaira.
Inna ba'da.
Good. Jazakumullahu khairan. Then the dad is also joined to the dha. So we're seeing the similar thing that we saw before with mina one. This time though, you're moving from a heavy dad to a heavy dha. So you maintain the heaviness, right? So before we had to be very careful that we pronounce this noon nice and light. But this time we go for the heavy dad and we carry on with the heaviness into the dha. Okay. So we say here, and I'm not, actually, let me just explain very quickly. So we hold the joining, the rahawa, then we join the dha with the noon. We hold the joining between the dha and the noon too, because of the noon mushaddad. And this time I'm not going to stop, I'm going to carry on reading. Okay, so I'll explain ithm in a minute. So if you could try this, Sister Humaira, with me. Inna ba'da dhanni ithm.
Inna ba'da dhanni ism.
Right, mashallah, that was a really, really good attempt. Your ain good, the ba nice, the dad good as well. The dha also, you did the rahawa, it was nice and heavy. It's just after the joining, when you were going to say dha, it became lighter. So you want to keep the heaviness. Ba, dha, dha, dha. You want to keep that part heavy too. Only when you get to the noon, then make it light. So just let the heaviness keep going for a little bit longer. Inna ba'da dhanni ithm.
Inna ba'da dhanni ism.
Not bad, not bad. Jazakumullah khairan. Coming to this last word, because we are stopping on this word, we are putting a sukoon on the meme, right? Now you have two letters with a sukoon. You're trying to pronounce a tha with a sukoon, and then you're trying to read also a meme with a sukoon. How are we going to read, and how do we make sure we are pronouncing these correctly? First of all, with the tha, it's a rahawa letter. So this is the key thing I want you to focus on, the timing. It's a rahawa, it's one of the long running ones, like the dha, minal. We say if, keep it going, if, keep it going. It's a breathy letter, so you are relying on your the breath to make the sound of the tha. And the meme is actually the wassut, it's the middle one. It's not as long as the tha. So this is where you got to really think about how long you're spending on each letter. The tha has to be longer than the meme. Ithm, 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 not ithm, ithm. See, that's like the same timing for both. The tha should be longer, the one first. Ithm. If you could try this, Sister Salma. Ithm.
Ithm.
Good. The only thing I want you to do now is when you finish your tha and you say if, and you're going to move on to the meme, I don't want you to kind of, because your tongue is at the place of tha, you're saying if, and your tongue's there, right? When you're moving on to the meme, I don't want you to use pressure to come away from the makhraj of the tha. So not if, th. Don't press off on the th, right? I'm over exaggerating it, of course. You say if, and then you just bring your lips together, go if. Not if thumb. I shouldn't be hearing thumb, that kind of sound, right? If,
sounds like a fatha then, isn't it?
yes, exactly.
So, okay.
So let's try that one more time. Jazakallah khairan, Sister Salma, one more time. Ithm.
Ithm.
It's better, one more time. If what you want to do is just, if you say on its own, this is the sound, this is where you're going, right? So sometimes we think we have to say kind of sound, like a not just just that sound. Ithm.
Ithm.
It's much better. One more time. Ithm.
Ithm. إثم.
It's much better. It's much better. Jazakumullah khairan,
Alhamdulillah.
Sister Salma. Okay, let's try this from the beginning. Sister Humaira, if you'd like to join me for this. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا.
يا
Oh, I can't hear you. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. Sorry.
That's okay, mashallah.
ظن.
Yeah, at the moment, your heaviness of the dha is kind of, when you join with the noon, I can hear some of that heaviness in the noon as well. So just making sure that as soon as you hit the noon, light straight away, right? Let's start from ijtanibu. ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhann.
اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن.
إن بعض الظن إثم.
إن بعض الظن إثم.
Allah, and then nice like noon. الظن إثم.
الظن إثم.
Not bad. Jazakumullahu khairan. Now, these are quite tricky to say. Like, for example, a word like this, بعض الظن, can be challenging, especially if it's your first time and you're trying to apply all of this. So, don't worry, it is challenging. So if you are finding it like this is a bit of a mouthful and it's a little bit tricky and there's a lot to focus on, it is one of those words, and it does come with time and it does take a bit of practice. So be kind to yourself. Okay, then we come to the last part. Wala tajassasu. Now here, wala we've discussed many times. I'm going to move on to tajassasu. As we move from the jim to the sin, the sin is a rahawa letter, just like the va, just like the letter tha. So we prolong the joining, wala tajassasu. So we hold it first, then we move on to the sa, and then the su at the end, which is prolonged for 2 counts. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Sister Salma?
ولا تجسسوا.
Good, mashallah. Your su is very nice, mashallah. It's a lovely light scene, and your mud is nice and clear of gunna, alhamdulillah. Then we have the next part, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ. The ya here, now I'm going to mention this again because it's very easy to not do this. The ya here is a light letter. We say ya, fatha ya, but the ghain is a heavy letter. So again, being careful that you do say ya and then you move on to a heavy ghain. It's very easy to make the ya heavy. If you do that, it sounds like this. Wala yo. It becomes like that, right? You don't want to say ya, you want to say ya, yell. And if you notice, when I say ya, the way that my lips are when I say ya, the light ya in isolation, ya, fatha, ya, this is where I start from. Ya, yell. Okay, so you start from that position where you would normally say the ya on its own from, and then you move to the light ghain. If you just go yo, the ya becomes heavy. Ya, tab. Okay. The ghain is also rahawa. We're going to keep it running just like we held the scene. Tajassasu wala yaghtab. Okay. Okay, let's try up until there. Sister Zuleika, if you'd like to join me for this part. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا وَلَا يَغْتَبْ.
ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب.
Very good, alhamdulillah. Your qalqala can be a little bit quicker, right? وَلَا يَغْتَبْ.
ولا يغتب.
Yes, mashallah, beautiful. Alhamdulillah, barakallah fiki. Okay. And then we have here a ba. Now this ba does have a sukoon on it. Sorry, what am I doing? Has a sukoon on it. It's not drawn. again, whenever we see a sukoon that is not drawn, we know something's happening here. Okay, so originally there is a sukoon here. The next letter is a ba. We call these mutamathilain letters, right, or mutamathilan. They are letters which are exactly the same. And when you have, now for those of you that have done our Tajweed course, you would be familiar, especially if you've done level 4 or level 5, if you're up until there, some of our more advanced level students, then you'll know that this is of course mutamathilain saghir. Okay, why saghir? Because the first ba has a sukoon and the second one is mutaharrik. Okay, what do we do here? We end up doing idgham, and that's why we have this shadda here. This shadda is telling us do idgham. In other words, go to the makhraj of the ba only once. Yaghtab. So before, when I stopped here, I said yaghtab. I did the qalqala, right? But now, if I continue reading, I'm not going to do the qalqala. I'm going to go to the makhraj, and as soon as I let go, I'm going to say ba'dukum. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ تَبَّ. That's all you're going to hear. Okay. Let's try that, Sister Humaira. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ.
وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ.
Yes, be careful of your ta as well. So after a heavy rain, you also have a light ta. So it's like concentrate on that. It's like a bit of a sandwich thing going on where you got light here, heavy rain, back to light again. يَغْتَ يَغْتَ وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ.
يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ.
If you could do that one more time for me, the sound was a little bit got a little bit cut off there.
وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ.
That's better. Jazakumullah khairan. And finally, we have the word ba'da. So ba, again, we're going to concentrate on the ain being tawassut, all nice and light. And then finally, when we get to the end, the dad is heavy. We're going to think about the makhraj again, which part of the tongue we're using, the back two sides, touching the inner plate of the upper molars, and we're going to press against them. Now, because this dad, when we stop and we say ba'da, we get rid of one of these fathas, right? We recite one fatha, and we recite it with the mad alif. Okay, this is, for those of you that know, this is the highest level of heaviness. Ba'da, ba'da, ba. This is probably the heaviest you're ever going to get with any of the heavy letters. Okay, it should sound even heavier than the dad with the dhamma. Remember, because the dad with the dhamma, according to the opinion of Imam Ibn al-Jazari, is a level 3. The opinion of Imam Ibn Tahan, it's a level 2. So it's kind of like the middle level. Whereas the one at the end, the dad here, is either level 1 for Imam Ibn Tahan, and it would be a level 1 for Imam Ibn al-Jazari as well. So for both of them, it's the highest level. Okay, right. Let's try this from the top, inshallah. Also, just before I finish off, the dad is also held for 2 counts when we stop, because we are reading the mad alif. So we don't rush it and say ba'da. It's ba'da, ba'da, ba. Keep it going for 2 counts. Okay, let's try this from the top. Sister Humaira, if you'd like to join me for the top line, please. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن.
Just that noon needs to be lighter in mina. Minal one.
من الظن.
That's much better. Jazakumullahu khairan. And the next part, inna ba'da dhanni ithm.
إن بعض الظن إثم.
Yes, just be careful. When you're joining the dad and the dha, at the moment you're breaking it. So I'm hearing ba'da dhanni. There's like a break where your sound, remember the sound has to continue for the rakhawa, right? The sound shouldn't stop at any point. بعض
الظن.
Yes, that was better in terms of how the sound, you kept the sound going. You just lost the heaviness of the dha when you were saying the fatha, right? So let's try and see if we can fix that as well. بعض
الظن.
Yes, better. Jazakumullahu khairan. And Sister Salma, if you'd like to join me for the bottom line, please. ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا.
و ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم sorry إخفاء سنة ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا.
Yes, Jazakallah for bringing that up. I
Sorry.
actually forgot to mention. I actually forgot to
Yeah.
mention that, so it's easy. I don't blame you for missing it. Yes, I actually forgot to mention this bit. Ba'dukum with the meme. Here we have a meme sakin followed by the letter ba. Here, what you do is you go for the meme, but when your lips come together for the meme, this is called ikhfa shafawi. This is where your lips come together very gently. So you don't press hard. You don't say ba'dukum kum. It's no pressing. Ba'dukum ba. And then you hold the meme, and then when you come away from the meme, you stop pronouncing the ba. And ikhfa is it's not akmal gunna, sorry, it's kamil gunna. So it does have a longer gunna, so we do prolong it a bit. So if we could just say this part again, please, Sister Salma. And just one more thing, I'll start from wala. And the other thing I want you to be careful of, Sister Salma, is, you know, the ghain, be careful not to say yagha, yagha. You hold the squeeze, yagha. Okay, so no relaxing, otherwise I hear it like a qalqala. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا.
ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا.
Yes, and kum. Yeah, we'll have to work on this, inshallah. But we are out of time today, so I'll stop there, inshallah. As اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا Muhammad. See you all tomorrow, inshallah. And Sister Zuleika's tafsir will be starting in a few moments, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.